Hey VidMe, I'm not entirely sure what to do with this platform, but I'm experimenting with some content that I produced 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago. Back in 2009, when video podcasting web series were exploding and fresh and everyone was trying out different things for video streaming content. Revision 3 was at the height of their powers at that point. My wife, my best friend, and I, we had an idea to produce a movie review show. The whole concept was positive-only reviews, spoiler-free, of films that we felt deserved more attention. Aptly named Movies You May Have Missed, or MYMHM for short. MYMHM isn't really that much shorter. It was a huge labor of love. We produced the show for 3 years straight, not missing a single week of production, resulting in over 150 episodes, and at its peak, it was downloaded more than 3 million times a month. But at that time, we lacked the same kinds of tools for monetizing that kind of production, and it was a huge amount of work for 3 people to undertake. It put a lot of stress on my relationship with my wife and with my best friend. It was really tough to produce something that was so popular to consume. We saw great metrics on people watching the show, but so few people willing to support it, to engage with the few attempts that we made at trying to reach out to sponsors or to partners. And for a good 2 or 3 years after we stopped production on the show, we were still regularly taking meetings around Los Angeles as to what we could do with this property. If we could take it to another platform, if we could, pitch it to an entity like Netflix, and Netflix was just getting into their own original content, and no one really knew what that was going to look like back then. But then, of course, they blew us all away with, scripted and dramas and comedies. They weren't really too interested in the more, shot in someone's garage web series kind of content. In getting the show to stream, we were never able to post episodes to YouTube. We tried a number of different experiments. We tried reaching out to production companies. We were vetted by lawyers. A huge shout out to Donaldson Califf, because they kind of wrote the book on copyright and fair use. I mean, literally, they have a book about copyright and fair use. And we learned a lot from them on how to produce content from a documentary standpoint, from a television network standpoint. And that was also what I felt was so exciting about producing the show, is that these might have been older movies, they might have been newer indie flicks, and it didn't matter because we didn't want to spoil the film for anyone watching. We wanted to engage in an in-depth critique and analysis on why the movie maybe underperformed and what's so special about the film, but we still wanted you to be able to watch it and experience it just as if it were some kind of new film. A film from the 1950s, you just never seen it. You shouldn't have that movie spoiled for you in us trying to convince you to watch it. But even with all of those precautions and the fact that we were extremely conservative in how we utilized other people's IP, essentially every video that we posted to YouTube was either pulled, was flagged, or was just monetized by a third-party entity, and we weren't allowed to monetize our own work. I have a lot of complaints with a number of movie review channels on YouTube, and even here on VidMe, that I don't really think that they're fair use. I think more of these channels are actually supplanting the content that they're talking about for their own benefit. And if you guys are interested in having a conversation about copyright and IP, I'd be happy to share my thoughts in a future video. But we worked really hard to make sure that we were playing within what we felt were the boundaries of fair use, but that didn't really seem to matter, especially in that sort of 2010, 2011 era of Google, where these automated tools were just completely running rampant, and we didn't even have the basic avenues of communication that we have now, which are still woefully inadequate for content creators to engage with the companies that are holding the copyright on these products. Getting a streaming video version of MYMHM out to our fans meant posting those episodes to other services. And so we ultimately partnered with a video service called MeVio, and with Blip.tv. And I really enjoyed the relationship that we had with Blip.tv in those early days. There was a lot of the same discussion at Blip that we're having here at VidMe. Really creator-focused community to help with some of these issues that YouTube seems unwilling to address. Of course, both MeVio and Blip are defunct now, and that catalog of episodes that we had uploaded to those servers evaporated. And back then, we just weren't as diligent about archiving content as we probably should have been. You get into the flow of making something, you're in that moment, you've got your production schedule, you're pumping this content out, and you don't maybe have your eye on the future, that digital streaming content is actually pretty fragile. It doesn't take a lot for this stuff to completely disappear. We look at YouTube as this Google-owned property, as this monolith, as this institution, but it hasn't been around that long. It's changing significantly, and there's no guarantee that it's gonna be around that much longer. So I'm sitting on a movie review catalog of episodes, at least the ones that we've been able to recover, and we're going back through some old hard drives to see if we can re-render some of these episodes too, because back in the day we were putting them out at kind of low quality to keep our upload and download speeds in check, and a number of people were actually downloading this content, not necessarily streaming it, so we were trying to be space conscious for the time. And then this partnership with VidMe comes around, and I'm not entirely sure exactly what I'm gonna do with it. Maybe I can share some of my Gadget Guy content over here too, and I upload a couple videos, and it seems like a cool community, and that's when it kind of hits me like maybe this is the experiment I need to undertake. MYMHM doesn't exist on the internet anymore, and it's one of the best things I've ever made. It was an enormous accomplishment, and I think you see the passion of three friends talking about films, and I think that deserves to live on somewhere, even if it's just a memorial. I've got a pretty busy production schedule over at Pocket now, reviewing smartphones and tablets. I'm trying to resurrect some activity on my SomeGadgetGuy YouTube channel, so you'll be seeing some of those tech videos land over here too. But VidMe feels like it could possibly be that home for movies you may have missed. And we're going to try, as we recover episodes, as we maybe re-render episodes, again, it's a lot of work for us to undertake, but I feel like we can keep up the old school 1 episode a week, posting them up to this service and sharing them on my blog and on Facebook and all that nonsense. That seems to me like that's a reasonable way to kind of pay homage to the weekly schedule we used to have. And that means that hopefully if VidMe's around in 3 years, that you'll be able to see the full catalog of episodes that we produced. The first couple episodes are really rough because we didn't know what the hell we were doing. But I would say by the end of our first season, we were really cooking on a format for the show and discussion for the show that I'll be really excited for you all to see. This is the grand experiment. As MYMHM is recovered, and as I get a sense for how VidMe really does interact with producers, if they really are capable of protecting content creators during these intellectual property disputes and these fair use issues, this is the conversation that we'll need to have if we can actually resurrect the show proper and produce new episodes and have new discussions and be a bit more timely. There's a whole world of streaming videos and newer releases, and I feel like we're kind of walking into a new era of indie filmmaking content, which is really exciting to talk about. Do short film festivals and to pick up the slack on some of the discussion where it's not just about spoiling a movie and it's not just about shitting all over a movie. It's about sharing the things that we're really excited about and the things that we're passionate about. It can't be about just bringing our YouTube baggage over here, then VidMe's gonna crash and burn. So I'm going to share with you here something that I can't give you over on YouTube, and it just so happens to be the pet project that I've cared about most in my entire professional career. This was my baby. And it made me really sad that it didn't have a place to live. I don't even know how to sign this video off. I'll cop out with my normal tech review spiel, but thanks so much for watching. Drop a comment down below for anything you'd like to see discussed in future videos. I'm open to any ideas you all might have on how we can push VidMe as a platform. Give me a follow. You can also check me out around the internet, SomeGadgetGuy on Instagram and Twitter, and I will catch you all on the next video.